Hey guys, Penny here from Monaco Nail Academy. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how to turn some simple lines and dots into a stunning piece of nail art. This design was requested, but the screenshot didn't show the page it came from, and we cannot work out where it's from. So if you know who created this original design, please let me know so that I can give them the credit they deserve, because these nails are stunning. I'm starting my design with 2 layers of artistic colour gloss in Chul Death Do Us Part, each cured for 30 seconds in an LED lamp. This design is really symmetrical, so I want a centre line to work from, but this design has no centre line. So I'm actually going to use Chul Death Do Us Part to paint a line from top to bottom that will end up being almost invisible, or actually should be completely invisible, but this line will act as a guide for me for where to put the rest of my work. I do need it to cure because I don't want it to blend with the product that I put on next. You can see after curing that you can just see that line I painted. You won't be able to see it at all after I top coat. I'm switching things up a little bit today and working with Light Elegance gel paint in primary black, but I'm still using my same trusty orange brush from monaco.ac.nz. Our first set of curved lines, which is where I'm going to start, need to be about 1/3 of the way up the nail. So I'm going to measure out the top of the first and the top of the second before I paint anything to make sure I'm happy with them being level. My center line is dictated by that Chul Death Do Us Part line I painted and cured earlier, but I'm still going to put in a mark as well. Now all I have to do is put a curve between each dot. I can clean up my work at any time, coming back with a clean design brush and just really slowly stretching it past the lines to clean them up in any way that I like. We have a second set of curves starting 2/3 up the nail and meeting down at the same spot. You can cure these first if you like, or you can go straight in with the second lot, but in the same way, just measuring them out and then painting them in down to the middle. See the way that the swatch wheel moves almost as much as the brush? Moving my client is imperative to the work that I do with nail art. Often I will hold the brush completely still and move only the client. It just depends on what I'm trying to achieve. A little more cleanup and then I'll cure all of this at once. If the design brush isn't doing its job in cleanup, dip it into a little bit of monomer and then tap it onto a nail wipe so it's damp, not wet, but this will completely improve the power of the magic eraser. I like to do easy things first, so we're going to go in and fill in the spokes on the bottom set of arches. These are just straight lines, so all I need to do is angle my client so that I can pull a straight line towards myself more easily. I'm going to start in the center and move to one side, just making sure that the line is even all the way down and doesn't taper at the start or the end. And then working from the center to the left in the same manner. The other side is just as simple, just angle your client the other way so that again you can pull the lines towards yourself. Anytime that the brush isn't doing the work for you, reload it with more product or reshape the tip of the bristles. Spin it on some gel so that it reshapes itself, whatever you need to do. The gel should do most of the work for you. You can cure that now if you're worried about messing it up, or you can go in with the next bit. Just remember that the more you cure, the more likely you are to over cure, and then that can cause chipping further down the track. The arches that we need to do for the top are level with the tops of the bottom arches. So you can see where this is at the third, the top arch, which kind of looks like an owl's eye. I think they look like owls. Starts level, so that 1/3 mark is even more important for us. This one is a bit more of a half circle, so do try and take it out fairly wide rather than just being a nice curve. Ideally at the bottom here, they're almost becoming a straight line that leads into each other. And at this point, it kind of looks like a stylized tulip. You could add a couple more petals up here and easily have tulip nail art. Again, you can cure at this point if you want to, but I'm going to add the spokes first. Picking a center point in one of the tulip petals and dragging out a straight line, tilting the client just like I did before. This time though, they're not straight lines, they are spokes. They ray out from a center point. So that means that this time we don't just move along, we start at the same point every time and only the end point moves along. Now these spokes come with centers, and I personally think it's going to be easier to put the center in while the spokes are uncured. So I'm going to do that next, remembering that nothing but this curve and this curve is cured at this point. It's all still raw and movable. Rather than pushing my luck, I'm going to cure this at this point. And while it cures, why don't you pop down to the comments and tag in a client that you think would love to wear this design. The end of each spoke needs a tiny dot, so I'm coming in with my artistic stylus tool, just the needle point end. And we're going to just put a dot at the end of every spoke. These dots are all of equal size, so you kind of have to dip back fairly regularly to make sure that you can still use the same amount of pressure to get the same effect. There's another set of dots that are going to finish up the artwork for this, or the hand painted part of the artwork. These dots descend in size order. So the way that I'm going to achieve those is by moving up a size on my stylus tool, picking up some gel, starting in the middle of nowhere at the biggest dot, and just moving down from that big dot, allowing the decreasing amount of gel to decrease the size of my dot. I'm going to go back and do it just once more so that I can get these dots a little bigger from the start. But it's a reasonably easy way to make dots descend in size order. Time to cure again before we add some crystals. The finished design will be matte, so that I can do a nice smooth surface and buff it to a matte finish, I am going to cover this entire design in artistic correction gel, letting the correction gel self-settle into the gaps around my gel paint so that the surface is completely smooth. That needs to cure for another standard 30 seconds, after which we can cleanse it with Nail Surface Cleanser and buff with a 180 grit effect buffer to reveal the matte finish. I'm just going to be using these crystals that I got off actually AliExpress, just because I think they're really pretty and they suit the vibe of the design. and shock of all shocks, I'm going to be using correction gel to stick them down. With my stylus tool, I am going to apply the correction gel, probably actually covering up this first dot in the end. But applying the correction gel where I want the crystals to go, and then without cleaning the correction gel residue off my stylus tool, using that to pick up the crystals. I'm going to sacrifice some of the dots that I painted earlier just to be able to fit the 3 crystals in tidily. And before we cure, I'm adding in caviar beads that I also got from AliExpress. Now before curing, I'm just going to use my design brush to take away some of that correction gel. Normally after curing, this would be one of the few times that I encourage you using a matte top coat. I personally normally don't even bother with a matte top coat. I just buff, but I chase the caviar beads around a little bit. So I'm just using a damp monomer brush to clean off the excess correction gel that I don't want to cure shiny. Once cured, the correction gel will be nice and strong. You can clean over the entire top of the design without dislodging those crystals. I'm really loving the effect of having super shiny crystals on a matte nail, and I love that this design kind of evolved into lots of different things. We had a tulip at one point, we had the owl. There's all sorts of things that you could take this idea and run with. If you moved the crystals into the centers of the spokes, you've got eyeballs. If you take out these lines here and put a line across, you've got a beak, there's your owl. You've got all sorts of things that you can do with this design to just edit it slightly. If you have a go at this design, please tag us in at Monaco Nail Academy on Instagram and the same address on Facebook. And if you want some extra help, our The Art of Nails online nail art course is at www.monaco.ac.nz. Various modules cover off those fine lines, cover off the various products you can work with, cover off sticking Swarovski crystals down. So everything you have seen today, you can get extra help with if you need. Before you disappear, please give us either a like or a follow, as it really supports what we're trying to do with these videos, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.